welcome back to Zuberi Pilates. It's been so long since I shot a video. I think it's been years. But yeah, I am here and today I will be talking about the pelvic floor, which has been a request from a friend. I guess where we can get started is by defining what the pelvic floor is. So that is the muscle that supports the bowels, the bladder, and the uterus. And this muscle can get quite worn out and weak for, people who've given birth, if you have chronic constipation, if you've put on a lot of weight, or if you just don't exercise it, it is a muscle. So yeah, we will be discussing how we can strengthen and work that pelvic floor just to make sure like it's nice and healthy. And to demonstrate where the pelvic floor is, because when I tell you it's a muscle that supports the bladder, bowel, and uterus, you're like, where is that? Hopefully you know what the pelvis is. So this is the pelvis region. I will be demonstrating and explaining the pelvic floor with a magic circle and TheraBands, okay? So I'll just cross one TheraBand there, and then the other TheraBand like that. Okay? Then I'll just grab this. Okay? Ta-da! This is what I am using to explain the pelvic floor. So I want you to think of this part of the magic circle as the pelvic bone. You have your tailbone here at the back and your two sit bones. So the two bones at the bottom. And here is kind of where the pelvic floor is. So it's that muscle that is supporting your bowel, your bladder, and your uterus. So imagine for a pregnant woman, as baby is growing, like it's really, it's been stretched, it's been really worked out. So it's important to work that muscle. And with the pelvic floor, I always say you don't want it to be too overworked or too weak. So you just want something like that's nice and supple. So yeah, that is the pelvic floor, and I'll show you how to work it out. But in case you want to imagine it on your body, this is the pelvis, and this is kind of how it should be. I'll just put this aside. Beautiful. I like to be seated in a comfortable position when I am working my pelvic floor, either sitting on a fit ball or just sitting on the floor, but make sure you're very comfortable. For the purpose of this, I'll be seated on the ball. So this is a fit ball. Beautiful. And I'm just gonna close my eyes here. And remember with the imagery I showed you with the magic circle, I want you to imagine your pubic bone, your tailbone, and those two sit bones. So those are the two bones at the bottom of your bum. So think about it, and they'll kind of look like a triangle like that, but in that shape. Okay? And to work that pelvic floor, I'll use two cues that work for me really well. One of it is, think of a flower. Okay? So your pelvic floor is like a flower, and when you're breathing in, that flower is kind of opening up. And as you breathe out, bring it together. So breathing out, open that flower and close it. Okay, imagine that flower is like petals. If you've seen a flower in the morning and it's opening up, that's opening up those 4 points in your pelvis. So the pubic bone, the tailbone, and the two sit bones, and then close it. Let's keep this going. Give me 4 more. And 3. For 2. And last one. And don't worry if you don't get it. You're like, Wangari, what part of my body is working? It's kind of like a sensation. Like it's not going to be like your bicep when you work and you can like feel it working. This is kind of a sensation of those 4 muscles drawing in. Imagine like they're drawing in and releasing out. Next, we're going to try and lift that pelvic floor. So I want you to draw these 4 muscles together, your pubic bone, your tailbone, and your sit bones, meet them at the center. And then I want you to imagine that floor. That floor is like an elevator, and you're lifting it up to the point you can, and then release. And again, lifting up and release. Just give me two more of this. Another really cool imagery I like to use is that imagine your pelvic floor is like a jellyfish. If you've ever seen a jellyfish coming up, you know how they swim, they come up and release down. And two more, thinking of that jellyfish, and release. And one more, and release. Beautiful. If all of those cues didn't work, the last one I like to use, imagine you're trying to stop pee and poo at the same time, but don't clench too hard. Like, just make it very soft, because remember, it's a muscle. We don't want to overwork it. If you overwork the pelvic floor, it becomes tight, and that is problematic. So you want it like nice and supple. So if all these cues fail, try and think of trying to stop pee and poo at the same time, but being very gentle with it. Yeah, so there we go. That's the pelvic floor. That's how to work it. How many times a week should you work it? How many times a day? It really depends. I do my pelvic floor and Kegel exercises at least once a day. Yeah, just to make sure, like, you know, I'm keeping it nice and supple. But it really does depend. And yeah, I think that's it for today. If you have like any questions, if there's anything particular exercises you want me to do that focus on pelvic floor strengthening, just make a comment down there, and I'm happy to record exercises that could strengthen the pelvic floor. Of course, Pilates exercises. Until then, thank you so much, and I'm hoping to do a little bit more videos this year. Bye.